Are you happy? Well, you ought to be. If you're not happy, it's not God's fault, because He's told us all through His Word how to be happy. You know, I thought about that today. I was out walking just a little bit, and I had on Pandora on my phone, one of those radio things so I don't have to listen to news. And it came up with an advertisement. It says, "Turn on your happy channel." And I thought, well, that's a good idea. Well, just before that, I'd heard another song about if you want to be happy for the rest of your life, and we're not going there. I get in trouble with those songs. But you look and you find, if I want to be happy, and think of what a difference this world would be like if everybody was happy. You look at people, and, you know, I talk about the Eeyore people in the world, you know, woe is me. And there's so many people like that. But we're told to rejoice, to be happy. And really the word happy, if you look to that word, you'll find there's about 50 times that the word is used. Not all of the times it's translated as happy. Matter of fact, a more common translation is blessed. And so we realize we're blessed. That makes us happy. But how do you put it into action? How do you personally turn on your happy channel? Well, in the book of John, the 13th chapter, there's a kind of an interesting passage dealing with that. We find that Jesus came forth to His disciples and He washed their feet. Now we know Peter didn't want his feet washed, and he told him that if he didn't wash his feet, he wouldn't be clean at all. And so he told him to wash them. But after that, he said, after he washed their feet and had taken his garments and sat down, he said unto them, "Know you what I've done to you? You call me Master and Lord, and you say, well, for so am I. If I then, your Lord and Master, have washed your feet, you ought to wash one another's feet. For I've given you an example that ye should do as I have done unto you. Verily I say unto you, his servant is not greater than his Lord, neither is he that sent greater than he that sent him. If you know these things, happy you are if you do them." Now you think about that and you think, okay, what am I going to be happy about? Well, washing feet. You know, it's like the fellow said, you know, any of you believe in foot washing? And everybody, no. I said, well, I don't want to be around you. But that isn't what Jesus was talking about. He wasn't talking about the physical act of washing feet unless that was necessary. Now, at that time, people traveled about. They wore sandals and such. They walked. They didn't walk on a nice paved road. They walked through dirt and dust. And it was a common thing for someone at their house to accommodate their guest with the means to wash their feet. But a truly serving host would bend down and do it themselves. Jesus did that. Now, He didn't say you need to do foot washing as a worship rite, as some people try to say, but what He says, you do as I have done. That is, serve you. He, in context, pointed out, you know, the servant's not greater than the master. If I wash your feet, what are you going to do? Happy you are if you do them. Think about the happy life of serving God. Matthew 7, 21 through 23, there were those who Jesus spoke of that would say, Lord, Lord. But the problem was they kind of picked and chose what they wanted to do. You know, have we not done many wonderful works? Have we not done? And He says, depart from me. I never knew you. He said, not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven. Why would He do that? Because you're a servant. You know, not my will, but thine. That's what Jesus said as He prayed in the garden. What would the world be like if we lived and we faced moral dilemmas, as the world puts it out? And instead of saying, well, you've got your ideas, I've got mine, we look and say, God, I'm your servant. What should I do? And then I realize He's given me the answer, because He's given me all things that pertain unto life and godliness. And if I am that servant, I'm not just going to pick and choose, but I'm going to do the will of our Father which is in heaven. I'm going to serve Him. Then I'm happy, because I'm a servant. Think about the world and the situation in which so many people just look at their own things. You know, I'm going to do this. Why are you going to do that? Because it's mine. I deserve this. I want this. I'm going to get this. And I don't care what I've got to do you to get it. All you got to do is look around in the world, but it's nothing new. The Apostle Paul, as he spoke to those in Philippians, said, Philippi, he said, I have no man like-minded, speaking of Timothy, who will just naturally look on the things of another rather than their own. We live in a greedy world. But you know, we can make a difference. We can turn on the happy channel. We can be happy ourselves because we're serving God, and instead of Him saying, you know, why call you me Lord, Lord? He'll say, well done, thou good and faithful servant. We'll be happy because we are part of changing the world from self-centered to God-centered and looking to see what I can do for others. Imagine that world. It's a happy channel. Happy channel in your life. Tonight, you look at yourself, and you know that begins whenever we look in the book of Romans, the 6th chapter. Ed was talking about that earlier and said he didn't understand how anybody could misunderstand about baptism and such. And you think of that. Whenever we become a child of God, the old man of sin, that self-serving, he's put to death. But we rise then to walk in the newness of life. What's that? Doing what He says. We began by Romans 6 chapter in verse 17 and 18, obeying from the heart that form of doctrine. What was that? God's will. But then we rise to continue in it. That's happy. If you haven't begun that life, and if you're not walking in the newness of life as a servant, you're never going to be happy. But we can help you to have that happiness. We can do it as we stand and sing the song of invitation.